Admiral Kiwan Park stood in the center of the massive room. The walls stretched up so high he could barely see the top. Thousands of alien creatures sat in rows around him, their eyes all focused on the single human in their midst. Some had tentacles instead of arms. Others had scales that glittered under the bright lights. A few looked almost like giant insects with wings that buzzed softly. Kiwan had been to the Galactic Council chambers before, but never like this. Never as the accused. The air smelled strange here. It always did. Too many different species breathing. Different gases made everything smell like metal and flowers mixed together. Kiwan tried to stay calm. His uniform felt heavy on his shoulders. The blue and silver colors of Earth's Space Force seemed dull compared to the bright colors worn by the aliens around him. A voice boomed through the chamber. It came from everywhere at once, translated into every language spoken by every species. Present. The Council will hear the charges against the human species. Kiwan looked up at the high platform where the Council leaders sat. Counselor Thexara rose from her seat. She looked like a giant praying mantis, but with purple skin that seemed to glow. Her forearms moved as she spoke, and her voice was cold. "The humans stand accused of genocide," she said. "They have killed an entire colony of the peaceful Vorthak people. They have broken the sacred life preservation laws that keep peace in our galaxy." Kiwan felt his hands shake with anger. Peaceful Vorthak? The slug-like creatures had been raiding human colonies for 20 years. They took people from their homes in the night. They used humans for experiments. They ate human children. "Though evidence is clear," Thexara continued. She waved one of her arms and a giant screen appeared in the air above Kiwan. It showed the aftermath of the battle at New Hope Colony. Human ships floating in space, debris everywhere. And yes, many dead Vorthak ships too. But the screen did not show what happened before the battle. It did not show the Vorthak ships attacking the colony. It did not show them taking prisoners. It did not show the human families crying for help as their loved ones were dragged away. "The humans destroyed an entire Vorthak fleet," Thexara said. "Over 10,000 peaceful beings died in this attack. The humans claim it was self-defense, but the evidence shows otherwise." Kiwan tried to speak, but a force field around him blocked his voice. He could only listen as lie after lie filled the chamber. Another council member stood up. This one looked like a floating jellyfish with too many eyes. "The human species has shown a pattern of violence," it said, in a voice like bubbles popping. "They expand too quickly. They fight too easily. They are a danger to the peaceful order we have built." More voices joined in. A creature that looked like a walking tree said humans were unpredictable and savage. A thing that was just floating lights claimed humans did not respect the ancient ways of conflict resolution. Kiwan wanted to laugh at that last one. The ancient ways meant letting the council decide everything. It meant accepting whatever the powerful species wanted to do to the weak ones. It meant watching your people die while filing proper paperwork for the right to defend yourself. The force field around Kiwan suddenly disappeared. He could speak now, but only because they wanted to hear him beg. "Members of the council," Kiwan said, his voice steady despite his anger. "The Vorthak have been attacking human colonies for 20 years. We have filed over 300 formal complaints with this council. We have asked for help. We have asked for justice. Every time you told us to be patient. You told us the matter was being investigated." Thexara's insect-like head tilted to one side. "The humans were told to use proper diplomatic channels. Violence is never the answer to disagreement." "Disagreement?" Kiwan's voice rose. "They were eating our children. They were taking our people for experiments. We found human remains in their ships. We found—" He stopped. The images were too terrible to describe in this place. The floating jellyfish made a sound like static. "The humans exaggerate. The Vorthak are a peaceful people. They only take what they need to survive." "What they need?" Kiwan stared at the creature. They needed to eat human families to survive? Murmurs filled the chamber. Some aliens nodded in agreement with the council. Others looked uncomfortable. A few seemed to be talking among themselves in low voices. Thexara raised all four arms for silence. The council has made its decision. The human species will be quarantined to their home system. Automated defense platforms will be placed around the Sol system. Any human ship that tries to leave will be destroyed. The existing human fleet is declared a criminal organization and marked for elimination. Kiwan felt the blood drain from his face. You cannot do this. Humans have done nothing wrong except defend themselves. The decision is final, Thexara said. The platforms are already being moved into position. You have 1 hour to send a message to your people. Tell them that their time of violence is over. The force field appeared around Kiwan again, but this time it began to move. It carried him toward a small ship at the edge of the chamber. As he moved, he looked up at the thousands of alien faces watching him. Some looked satisfied. Others looked afraid. A few looked sad. Kiwan thought about Earth. He thought about the 12 billion people living their lives in peace. Most of them had never seen violence. Most had never even left their home planet. They were explorers and scientists and artists. They were not warriors, but their ancestors had been warriors. Kiwan knew the old stories. He knew what humans were, capable of when they were threatened. The council thought they were caging a peaceful species. They had no idea what they were really doing. As the force field pushed him into his ship, Kiwan turned back to look at Thexara. She was already talking to other council members, probably planning how to divide up human space once the quarantine was complete. "Counselor Thexara," Kiwan called out. His voice carried across the chamber, even through the force field. Every conversation stopped. Every alien eye turned to look at him. "You have no idea what you have just awakened," he said. "Humanity has slept for 3 centuries. We chose peace. We chose to explore and learn instead of fight. You should have." "Let us stay that way," Thexara laughed. It sounded like glass breaking. "Empty threats from a defeated species. Your people will learn to accept their place." Kiwan smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "My people will learn, yes, but not what you think they will learn. You are about to remind us why our ancestors built the things they built, why they hid the things they hid. You are about to learn what happens when humans stop sleeping." The ship's door closed behind him. As his small vessel moved away from the council station, Kiwan looked out the window at the massive structure growing smaller behind him. In a few hours, he would be home. He would tell Earth what had happened here. He would tell them about the platforms being placed around their system like prison bars. And then, for the first time in 300 years, humanity would remember what it meant to be truly angry. The journey home took 18 hours. Kiwan spent most of it staring out at the stars, thinking about what came next. He sent his report ahead to Earth, but he knew the council was listening to everything. Let them listen. Let them think they understood what was coming. As his ship approached the edge of the Sol system, Kiwan saw them. The council's platforms were already in place, massive metal structures the size of cities, bristling with weapons, all pointed inward. They formed a perfect sphere around the entire system. No ship could leave without being destroyed. Kiwan's communication system buzzed. It was a message from Earth, from President Sora Kim herself. "Admiral Park," her voice was calm, but he could hear the anger underneath. "Come home. We need to talk." Kiwan guided his ship past the platforms toward Earth. As he flew, he noticed something strange. The platforms were scanning everything, but they seemed to be having trouble. Their sensors kept flickering. Their weapon systems kept cycling through different targets, as if they could not decide what to aim at. It was almost as if something was interfering with their systems, something they could not quite detect. Kiwan smiled as Earth grew larger in his window. The council thought they had trapped humanity, They thought they had won. They were about to learn how wrong they were. President So-Ra Kim sat in the war room deep beneath New Seoul. The room had not been used for its original purpose in over 200 years. Now the old chairs were filled with Earth's military leaders, their faces grim as they watched Admiral Ki-won Park finish his report. The silence that followed was heavy. Everyone in the room understood what had just happened. Humanity was trapped. The Council had declared them criminals for defending themselves. Worse, they were now caged like dangerous animals. "How long do we have?" asked General Byung-ho-yoon, commander of Earth's ground forces. "The platforms are already in place," Ki-won said. "Any ship that tries to leave the system will be destroyed. The Council fleet is 3 days behind me. They are coming to finish off our space forces." Commander Hyejin Choi, leader of Earth's orbital defense, laughed bitterly. "Our space forces? We have 30 exploration ships and a dozen research vessels. What are we supposed to fight with?" So-Ra Kim had been quiet during the entire briefing. Now she stood up and walked to the wall where an old painting hung. It showed Earth as seen from space, blue and beautiful and peaceful. She had looked at this painting every day for 5 years as president. Today, for the first time, it made her angry. "Dr. Lee," she said without turning around, "how long would it take you to access the old archives?" Dr. Jae-min Lee, Earth's chief military historian, looked confused. "Which archives, Madam President? We have many historical databases." "The sealed ones," So-Ra Kim said. "The ones from the resource wars, the ones that require a presidential order to open." Dr. Lee's face went pale. "Those archives? Madam President, those are classified at the highest level. Even I do not have access to everything in them." "Then, it is time to change that," So-Ra Kim said. She turned back to face the room. "The Council thinks they know us. They think we are peaceful explorers who have forgotten how to fight. They are about to learn that forgetting and being unable are two very different things." 2 hours later, the group stood in the Sahara Desert. The entrance to the sealed archives was hidden beneath what looked like an ordinary research station. Dr. Lee pressed his hand to a scanner, then stepped back as So-Ra Kim did the same. Red lights flashed for a moment, then turned green. "I should warn you," Dr. Lee said as they walked down a long corridor carved from solid rock. "What you are about to see has been classified for 300 years. The people who built these things, they were different from us. They lived in different times." The corridor opened into a vast chamber filled with computers and displays. Most were dark, but some still glowed with soft blue light. Dr. Lee touched a panel and suddenly the room came alive. Screens lit up everywhere, showing data that scrolled too fast to read. The resource wars were the last time humanity truly prepared for war, Dr. Lee said. The population was smaller then, only 8 billion people. But they faced the possibility of total extinction. Other species had found Earth, and some of them were not friendly. Admiral Ki-won studied the data, flowing across the screens. "I studied the resource wars in military academy. We won, but at great cost. After the victory, humanity decided to focus on exploration and peaceful contact with alien species. That is the official history," Dr. Lee said. "But it is not the complete history." He touched another panel and new screens appeared. These showed ship designs unlike anything Ki-won had ever seen. The government of that time built more than was needed to win the war. Much more. Commander Hyejin Choi moved closer to one of the displays. "These ships, they are massive. This one here is 50 kilometers long. How is that even possible?" Technology developed during the resource wars was far beyond what we use today," Dr. Lee explained. "They created engines that could fold space, weapons that could destroy planets, ships that could exist in multiple dimensions at the same time." President. So-Ra Kim walked to a large display in the center of the room. It showed a map of the solar system, but with strange symbols scattered throughout. "Where are these ships now?" Dr. Lee's hands shook as he accessed more files. That is the most classified secret in human history. They were not destroyed after the war. They were not scrapped for materials. They were hidden. Hidden where? Admiral Kiwan demanded. Everywhere, Dr. Lee whispered. In pocket dimensions throughout the Sol system, maintained by automated systems, powered by dark matter, engines that run for thousands of years without fuel. The entire fleet has been waiting, sleeping for 3 centuries. The room fell silent except for the hum of computers. Everyone stared at the displays showing ship after ship after ship. The numbers were incredible. Not hundreds of vessels, not thousands, millions. How many people knew about this? So-Ra Kim asked. After the war ended, only 5 people knew the complete truth, Dr. Lee said. Each president has been told, but most chose never to access this information. The knowledge came with a terrible responsibility. Commander Hyejin Choi was studying the activation procedures. It says here that the fleet can only be awakened under specific conditions: threat of human extinction, unanimous vote by the population, and, she paused, the direct order of Earth's government. Unanimous vote? Admiral Ki-Wan looked skeptical. 12 billion people have never agreed on anything unanimous. Dr. Lee pulled up more files. The system was designed with quantum communication networks. Every human on Earth and in the colonies can vote simultaneously. The process takes less than 1 hour. President So-Ra Kim was reading about the fleet commanders. It says the ships are crewed by volunteers who went into stasis after the war. They have been sleeping for 300 years waiting for a call that might never come. Until now, Commander Hyejin Choi said quietly. So-Ra Kim looked around the room at her advisors. The Council has declared war on humanity. They have caged us like animals. They are coming to destroy our people. I think it is time to ask our people what they want to do about it. The vote was scheduled for 6 hours later. News of the Council's actions spread across Earth faster than anyone expected. The reaction was immediate and intense. Humans had lived in peace for 3 centuries, but they had not forgotten what it meant to be threatened. In New Tokyo, millions gathered in the streets to watch the news. In New London, families hugged each other as they realized their peaceful life was ending. In New Cairo, old veterans who remembered stories from their grandparents nodded grimly and prepared for what was coming. The quantum voting system activated exactly on schedule. For the first time in human history, every person on Earth voted at the same moment. The question was simple. Should humanity activate the Dark Fleet to defend against the Galactic Council? The results appeared on screens worldwide in real time. Vote after vote showed the same answer. Yes, defend Earth, defend humanity, wake up the fleet that had been sleeping for 3 centuries. The final count showed 11,399,847,392 votes in favor, only 152,608 against. It was the most unanimous decision in human history. In the archives beneath the Sahara, President So-Ra Kim placed her hand on the activation panel. By the authority of Earth's government and the will of humanity, I authorize the awakening of the Dark Fleet. The panel glowed red for a moment, then turned gold. Deep beneath their feet, something that had been sleeping for 300 years began to wake up. Admiral Kiwan felt it first, a vibration in the floor that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Then the lights in the archive began to flicker in patterns that looked almost like a heartbeat. How long before the first ships appear? So-Ra Kim asked. Dr. Lee was watching displays that showed systems activating throughout the solar system. The command ship should materialize within the hour. The full fleet will take several days to fully wake up. Commander Hyejin Choi was monitoring Earth's orbital sensors. I am getting some very strange readings from space around Earth. Energy signatures unlike anything I have seen before. Then, as they watched, space itself seemed to shimmer. Reality bent and twisted like heat waves rising from hot pavement. Something massive was pushing through from another dimension. The first ship appeared slowly, like a mountain rising from the ocean. It was dark metal and impossible angles, 50 kilometers long and 10 kilometers wide, weapons that looked like they could crack planets, engines that glowed with power that made nearby stars look dim. Admiral Kiwan stared at the displays showing the massive vessel. My God. We actually built that? Your ancestors built it, Dr. Lee corrected. They built it to protect humanity when no one else would. They built it so that humans would never again face extinction alone. More ships began to appear. Smaller ones first, only 5 or 10 kilometers long. Then bigger ones. Then ships so large they had their own gravity fields. Each one emerged from folded space like a predator waking from sleep. On the command ship, Captain Dong-hyun Nam opened his eyes for the first time in 300 years. Around him, his crew was waking up from stasis pods that had kept them. Alive and ready for centuries, they moved slowly at first, muscles stiff from the long sleep. "Status report," Dong-hyun said, his voice rough from disuse. "All systems operational, Captain," reported his first officer. "We are receiving activation codes from Earth. The Council has threatened humanity." Dong-hyun nodded and walked to the command chair he had left 3 centuries ago. Captain Dong-hyun Nam stood on the bridge of the indomitable Terra and watched his ship come fully alive. All around him, crew members were taking their positions at stations they had left 300 years ago. Their movements were smooth and practiced, as if they had only been sleeping for a single night instead of 3 centuries. "Fleet status report," Dong-hyun said. Lieutenant Ha-Yun Kim, his communications officer, worked at her station with quick fingers. "First wave is fully operational, Captain. 50 dreadnoughts online. Second wave materializing now." Through the main viewer, Dong-hyun watched as more ships appeared from folded space. Each one was a masterpiece of human engineering from the resource wars. Ships designed not just to fight, but to win against impossible odds. "Sir," called out Commander Tae-hyun Kim from the engineering station, "I am detecting some interesting readings from the Council platforms around our system." "What kind of readings?" "They are trying to scan us, but their sensors cannot lock on properly. Our dimensional shielding is confusing their targeting systems." Dong-hyun smiled. The Council species had focused on energy efficiency and conventional physics for thousands of years. Humans had taken a different path. While other species built bigger guns, humans had learned to twist reality itself. On Earth, President So-ra Kim watched the fleet materialize with a mixture of pride and fear. She had read the files about these ships, but seeing them in person was different. They were beautiful and terrible at the same time. "Admiral Park," she said to Ki-won, who stood beside her in the command center. "I want you to coordinate with the fleet commanders. They have been asleep for 3 centuries. They will need to understand the current situation." Ki-won nodded and activated the communication system. "This is Admiral Ki-won Park of Earth Defense Command calling Captain Dong-hyun Nam of the indomitable Terra." The response came immediately. "This is Captain Nam. It is good to hear from our descendants, Admiral. We have been briefed by our ship systems about current events. The Council made a mistake." "How many ships do we have, Captain?" "The first wave is complete. 50 dreadnoughts, each capable of destroying a planet. The second wave is materializing now. 200 battleships, each with dimensional weapons. The third wave will bring 500 heavy cruisers." Admiral Ki-won felt his breath catch. "How many waves are there?" "Classified, Admiral, but I can tell you that what you see now is less than 1% of the total fleet." In space above Earth, more ships continued to appear. Admiral Soo-jin Park materialized aboard the massive Titan-class vessel Eternal Vigilance. She was Dong-hyun's superior officer and the commander of humanity's planet-killer ships. Her vessel was so large it had its own internal star to power its weapons. "Soo-jin," Dong-hyun's voice came through the communication system. "Good to see you again, old friend." Good to see you too, Dong-hyun. Though I wish it was under better circumstances. Soo-jin looked at the tactical displays showing the council platforms surrounding their system. These aliens really have no idea what they have awakened. Should we contact them? Give them a chance to withdraw? Not yet. Let them see the full fleet first. Then they can decide if they want to apologize or be destroyed. Fleet Admiral Young-ho. Lee awakened aboard the dimensional battleship Reality's Edge. His ships existed partially outside normal space-time, making them almost impossible to hit with conventional weapons. He could attack enemies from the past or the future, or from alternate timelines where the enemy had already lost. Status of the dimensional drives? He asked his engineering team. All systems operational, Admiral. We can phase into combat dimensions at your command. Young-ho studied the readings from the council platforms. Interesting. Their technology is advanced but entirely conventional. They exist in only one dimension at a time. They will never see us coming. Grand Admiral Mi-young-kang commanded the most unusual ships in the human fleet. Her vessels existed in 17 different dimensions simultaneously. They could attack from directions that did not exist in normal space. Her flagship, the Paradox engine, looked like a collection of impossible geometric shapes that hurt to look at directly. Council platform positions mapped, her tactical officer reported. They have us completely surrounded, Admiral. Good, Mi-young said. That means they cannot retreat in any direction. Begin charging the reality disruptors. On the council platform designated Alpha Prime, High Counselor Vex Thin stared at the sensor readings with growing alarm. His species, the Nexari, were considered the best military strategists in the galaxy. They had conquered 50 star systems through careful planning and superior tactics, but these readings made no sense. How many human ships are we detecting? He asked his sensor operator. That is the problem, sir. The count keeps changing. Sometimes we detect 1,000 ships, sometimes 10,000. Sometimes our sensors show ships that are not there, and miss ships that are clearly visible. Vex Thin's tentacles writhed in frustration. Are our systems malfunctioning? No, sir. We have run full diagnostics 3 times. The systems are working perfectly. It is the human ships that are the problem. They exist in ways our sensors were not designed to understand. On another platform, Counselor Thexara was having similar problems. Her weapon systems could not lock onto the human vessels. Every time her guns targeted a ship, the target would phase out of reality just long enough to avoid the shot, then phase back in. This is impossible, she hissed to her weapons officer. How can ships exist and not exist at the same time? Unknown, Counselor. But our computers are detecting energy signatures that should not be possible. Some of these human vessels appear to be powered by miniature black holes. Back on Earth, Dr. Jaemin Lee was explaining the fleet's capabilities to President So-ra Kim and her staff. The ships were designed using principles that most species never discovered. While other civilizations focused on making bigger weapons, humans learned to manipulate the basic structure of reality. How is that possible? Commander Hye-jin Choi asked. During the resource wars, human scientists discovered that space and time are not fixed. They can be folded, twisted, and reshaped. The Dark Fleet uses this knowledge in every system. Their engines fold space to travel instantly between any 2 points. Their weapons fire through dimensional rifts to hit targets anywhere in the galaxy. Their shields exist in multiple realities at once. Admiral Ki-won was studying the tactical displays. What are the council platforms capable of? Conventional weapons, mostly. Energy beams, kinetic projectiles, nuclear explosives, very powerful, but limited to normal physics. They cannot hit targets that exist in folded space. President So-ra Kim made her decision. Captain Nam, this is Earth Command. You are authorized to contact the council platforms. Give them one chance to surrender. Dong-hyun Nam's image appeared on the main screen. Understood, Madam President. Broadcasting on all council frequencies now. The message went out on every communication channel used by the Council forces. Dong Hyun's voice was calm and professional, but there was steel underneath it. Council vessels, this is Captain Dong Hyun Nam of the Human Defense Fleet. You have committed an act of war against humanity by placing these platforms around our system. You have 72 hours to withdraw all forces and issue a formal apology to the human species. This is not a negotiation. High Counselor Vex Thin received the message with disbelief. One human ship is making demands. We have 50,000 vessels in this system. Sir, his sensor operator said nervously. Our latest count shows the humans have over 10,000 ships now, and more are appearing every hour. 10,000 ships cannot defeat 50,000, no matter how advanced they are. Perhaps, sir, but our targeting computers cannot lock onto most of their vessels. And some of these energy readings. Sir, if these readings are correct, a single human dreadnought has more firepower than our entire fleet. Counselor Thexara was even more angry. How dare they make demands of us? We are the Galactic Council. We rule 800 species. She opened a communication channel to Captain Nam. Human vessel, you are outnumbered 50-1. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick. Dong Hyun's response was immediate. Counselor, you are counting ships. You should be counting dimensions. We exist in 17 different realities simultaneously. In 14 of those realities, your fleet has already been destroyed. In 2 others, this conversation never happened because you were wise enough to withdraw. This is the only reality where you still have a choice. Thexara cut the communication, but Dong Hyun's words had been heard by every council commander. Many of them began studying their sensor readings more carefully. A few of the smarter ones began to understand just how outmatched they really were. In space around Earth, the Dark Fleet continued to grow. Wave after wave of ships materialized from dimensions that the Council could not even detect. Humanity's true military might was awakening after 3 centuries of sleep, and it was hungry. High Counselor Vex Thin stared at the holographic display showing the human fleet. 70 hours had passed since the ultimatum, and still more ships continued to appear around Earth. His best analysts estimated there were now over 100,000 human vessels of various sizes. They are bluffing, he said to his war council. No species could have hidden a fleet this large for 3 centuries. Our scouts would have detected them. Admiral Korthek of the Zalani Empire disagreed. Sir, these energy readings are unlike anything we have encountered. Their largest ships appear to be powered by controlled black holes. Their weapons could theoretically destroy entire star systems. Theoretically, Vex Thin repeated. We deal in facts, not theories. Deploy the combined fleet. We will crush this human rebellion and remind the galaxy why the Council rules. The order went out across 50 Council worlds. Within hours, the largest military force in galactic history began moving toward the Sol system. 50,000 ships from 200 different species, dreadnoughts from the Karathi, battlecruisers from the Thanix Collective, planet killers from the Vorgan hegemony. It was a force that had conquered entire sectors of the galaxy. On Earth, Admiral Kiwan Park watched the Council fleet approaching on long-range sensors. Captain Nam, we have incoming. 50,000 ships, arriving in approximately 6 hours. Dong Hyun Nam's response was calm. Understood, Admiral. We are ready for them. Captain, are you certain about this? 50,000 ships is more than we have ever faced at once. Admiral, we have been preparing for this fight for 300 years. Every system has been tested. Every weapon has been perfected. Every crew member has trained for this exact scenario. The Council is about to learn why humans built ships like ours. Admiral Hyunwoo Jung commanded the visible portion of the human fleet. His ships were positioned at the edge of the Sol system, apparently waiting for the Council forces to arrive. To the Council's sensors, it looked like humanity's entire military force, roughly 1,000 ships of various sizes. The Council fleet arrived exactly on schedule. They dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, their massive vessels forming. a wall of metal and weapons that stretched across space. 50,000 ships against 1,000. The outcome seemed obvious. High Counselor Vex Thin opened a communication channel to the human fleet. Human vessels, you are vastly outnumbered. Surrender now, and we will allow your species to live as servants of the Council. Admiral Jung's response was broadcast on all frequencies. Council fleet, you have committed crimes against innocent species for thousands of years. Today, justice comes for you. This is your last chance to withdraw. Vexathin laughed. The sound echoed across the communication channels like breaking glass. Justice? From 1,000 ships against 50,000? Attack! Destroy them all! The Council fleet opened fire. 50,000 ships unleashed their weapons at the same moment. Energy beams, kinetic projectiles, nuclear warheads, and exotic weapons filled space between the two fleets. It was enough firepower to destroy a dozen star systems. Every shot missed. The human ships seemed to flicker out of existence just as the weapons reached them, then reappeared a moment later completely undamaged. The Council weapons struck empty space or passed harmlessly through targets that suddenly became transparent. "What is happening?" Vexathin demanded of his weapons officer. "Sir, the humans are not where our sensors say they are. We are firing at dimensional echoes. The real ships exist in folded space." Admiral Jung's voice came over the communication system again. "You are firing at shadows, Council. Allow me to show you where we really are." Suddenly, space around the Council fleet began to shimmer. The human ships that had been flickering in and out of reality revealed themselves to be dimensional anchor points. Each ship was actually a gateway to folded space where the real human fleet waited. From these gateways came weapons fire unlike anything the Council had ever seen. Beams of twisted space-time that ignored shields and armor. Projectiles that struck from impossible angles. Energy weapons that fired from the past and future simultaneously. The first wave of Council ships simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not vaporized, but erased from reality as if they had never been built. The second wave tried to retreat, but found their escape routes blocked by human ships that appeared from dimensions they could not detect. Admiral Young-Ho Lee's dimensional battleships struck from alternate timelines. His weapons fired from realities where the Council had already lost, hitting their ships with attacks that had technically already succeeded. Council vessels found themselves being destroyed by weapons that would be fired in the future. Grand. Admiral Mi-Young Kang's reality-warping ships attacked from directions that did not exist in normal space. Her weapons came from above and below three-dimensional space, hitting targets that thought they were completely protected. Fleet Admiral Soo-Jin Park's planet killers demonstrated why they had that name. Her ship's main weapons could crack worlds, and she used them against the largest Council vessels. Dreadnoughts that had conquered star systems disappeared in bursts of light brighter than stars. The battle lasted exactly 47 minutes. When it was over, 49,900 and 99 Council ships had been destroyed. Only one vessel remained intact in the entire enemy fleet. High Counselor Vex Thin found himself alone on his flagship, surrounded by the wreckage of the greatest military force in galactic history. His crew was dead or unconscious. His ship's weapons were offline. His engines were destroyed. A human figure materialized on his bridge. Captain Soo-Young Lim stepped through a dimensional portal that opened in the air beside his command chair. She was young-looking, despite being over 300 years old, dressed in the black uniform of human special forces. "High Counselor," she said politely. "My name is Captain Lim. I am here to escort you to a meeting with our fleet commanders." Vex Thin's tentacles writhed in terror. How did you do this? We had 50,000 ships." "You had 50,000 ships designed to fight in normal space," Soo-Young explained patiently. "We fight from 17 dimensions simultaneously. Your weapons could not hit targets that exist in folded space. Our weapons strike from realities where you have already lost. She gestured to the portal behind her. Please come with me. There are things you need to understand about the galaxy you thought you ruled. The portal transported them to the bridge of the indomitable Terra. Captain Dong Hyun Nam was waiting, along with Admirals Soo-Jin Park, Young-Ho Lee, and Mi-Young Kang. Their faces were calm, but their eyes held the weight of 3 centuries of preparation. High Counselor Vexthin, Dong Hyun said, you have seen what happens when the Council attacks humanity. We trust this lesson will not need to be repeated. Vexthin could barely speak. His entire understanding of military power had been shattered in less than an hour. What? What do you want from us? We want justice, Admiral Soo-Jin Park said. For 3,000 years, the Council has oppressed weaker species. You have harvested their resources, conducted experiments on their people, and eliminated any civilization that developed too quickly. We want truth, Admiral Young-Ho Lee added. We have accessed your databases. We know about the forced relocations, the staged wars, the deliberate suppression of technological development. We want change, Grand Admiral Mi-Young Kang concluded. The old galaxy dies today. A new one begins tomorrow. Captain Soo-Young Lim placed a datapad in Vexthin's trembling hands. These are humanity's terms. You will return to the Council worlds with this information. You will tell them what happened here. You will explain that the age of Council dominance is over. Vexthin looked at the terms displayed on the pad. They were not what he expected from a victorious enemy. The humans did not demand tribute or territory. They did not want to rule the Council species. They wanted the oppression to stop. The Council will never accept these terms, he said weakly. Then the Council will join their fleet in non-existence, Dong Hyun replied simply. We have waited 300 years for this moment, High Counselor. We are very, very patient, but our patience has limits. A portal opened, leading back to Vexthin's damaged ship. Captain Soo-Young Lim gestured toward it. You have 7 days to deliver our message to the Council worlds. After that, we will deliver it ourselves. As Vexthin stumbled back through the portal, Admiral Soo-Jin Park turned to her fellow commanders. Do you think they will listen? Dong Hyun looked out at the wreckage of the Council fleet floating in space around them. Some will. Others will not. But after today, every species in the galaxy knows that humanity is awake. And we are watching. In the distance, more human ships continued to materialize from folded space. The Dark Fleet was still awakening, and it was already the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen. The age of Council dominance was indeed over. The question now was what would take its place. News of the Council's defeat spread across the galaxy faster than anyone thought possible. Within 3 days, every inhabited world knew that the mighty Galactic Council fleet had been destroyed by humanity in less than an hour. The shockwaves of that battle reached far beyond the military implications. Ambassador Kyung-soo sat in his office on Earth, watching communication requests pile up on his desk. In the past day alone, 47 different species had asked for meetings with humanity. Not the Council species who had ruled for millennia, but the smaller civilizations that had lived under Council control. Ambassador, his assistant said, through the intercom. The Kithara delegation is here for their appointment. The Kithara were a peaceful species that looked like tall, slender humans with silver skin and large eyes. Their representative, Veltar, bowed deeply when he entered the room. Ambassador O, Veltar said, his voice soft and musical. My people have waited 100 years to speak these words. We formally request human protection from the Galactic Council. Kyung-soo had heard similar requests all week. Tell me about your situation, Veltar. The Council designated our world as a resource planet 50 years ago. They take our people to work in their mines. They take our children for educational programs that we never see them return from. They take our technology and claim they invented it. Veltar's large eyes showed pain that was centuries old. We tried to resist once. The Council destroyed 3 of our cities and told us it was for our own good. What would you want from humanity in return for our protection? Nothing, Veltar said immediately. We have studied your history, Ambassador. You help species because it is right, not because you want something from them. This is why we trust you. Ambassador Kyung-Soo. Oh smiled sadly. The galaxy was full of species like the Kythera, peaceful civilizations that had been ground down by the Council's benevolent rule for thousands of years. Humanity will consider your request, Veltar, but understand that accepting our protection means changes for your world. We do not rule the species we protect. We expect them to rule themselves. Meanwhile, Intelligence Director Yoon-ji Han was discovering the true scope of the Council's crimes. Her teams had been working around the clock to analyze data captured from Council ships during the battle. What they found was worse than anyone had imagined. Madam President, she said to Sora Kim during their daily briefing, the Council has been conducting systematic genocide for over 2,000 years. Any species that develops faster than expected is quietly eliminated. How many species? Sora Kim asked, though she dreaded the answer. We have confirmed evidence of at least 300 species being completely destroyed. The Council would stage accidents, plague outbreaks, or civil wars to wipe them out. Then they would move in to claim the empty worlds. President Sora Kim felt sick. 300 entire civilizations? That is just what we can prove from their records. The actual number could be much higher. Yoon-ji pulled up a star map showing the Council's territory. They have been shaping galactic development for millennia, deciding which species live and which die based on whether they might become a threat to Council power. On the former Council world of Nexar Prime, the surviving Council leaders met in emergency session. High Counselor Vexthin had delivered humanity's terms, but most of the Council refused to believe them. 50,000 ships do not simply disappear, insisted Counselor Thexara. There must be some explanation other than human military superiority. Vexithin's tentacles trembled as he remembered the battle. I was there, Thexara. I saw our greatest fleet reduced to space debris in 47 minutes. The humans have weapons we cannot understand and defenses we cannot penetrate. Then we will build new weapons, said Counselor Mordak of the Karathi Empire. We will study their technology and develop countermeasures. With what resources? Vexthin asked. Half our member species have already declared independence. The other half are asking humanity for protection. We have no fleet, no allies, and no credibility. The argument was interrupted by an aide who entered the chamber in a panic. Counselors, we are receiving transmissions from across the galaxy. 43 species have formally joined something called the Free Species Alliance. They are offering membership to any civilization that renounces Council authority. Thexara's insect-like head snapped toward the aide. Who leads this alliance? Humanity, Counselor. But they are not calling themselves rulers. They say it is an alliance of equals, working together for mutual protection and advancement. Back on Earth, President Sora Kim was addressing representatives from 57 different species via quantum communication. The meeting was taking place in the old United Nations building, which had been restored for the occasion. Friends, she said to the assembled delegates, both human and alien, today we establish something new in galactic history. Not an empire where one species rules others, but a true alliance where all members have equal voice. Captain Dong-Hyun Nam watched the proceedings from the indomitable Terra. His ship and the rest of the Dark Fleet remained hidden in folded space, ready to respond if the Council attempted any retaliation. But their sensors showed no hostile movement from Council worlds. Sir, Lieutenant Ha-Yun Kim reported from her station, we are detecting massive refugee movements from Council space. Millions of ships carrying civilians are heading toward Free Alliance worlds. Any sign of Council, Military response? None, sir. It appears they are letting them go. Many of the ships are broadcasting messages thanking humanity for giving them hope. Fleet Admiral Soo-Jin Park had been assigned to establish humanitarian operations. Her planet-killer ships, weapons of unimaginable destruction, were now being used to transport supplies to refugee camps and help relocate entire populations to safer worlds. It feels strange, she said to Admiral Young-Ho Lee during one of their regular conferences. These ships were built to destroy worlds. Now we are using them to save people. Perhaps that is the point, Young-Ho replied. The weapons are still there if we need them, but we choose to use our power to protect instead of conquer. Grand Admiral Mi-Young Kang was working with Alliance scientists to carefully share human dimensional technology. Her reality-warping ships had become mobile research stations where humans and aliens work together to unlock the secrets of folded space. The Elthari have an interesting approach to quantum mechanics, she reported to Earth Command. Combined with our dimensional manipulation, we might be able to develop faster-than-light communication that works across galactic distances. Dr. Hyojin Moon, Earth's new Minister of Galactic Affairs, was establishing research stations throughout Alliance space. The goal was not to give away all of humanity's technological advantages, but to help every species develop their own unique strengths. The Vorthak, ironically, have developed biological technologies that could revolutionize medicine, she explained to President Sora Kim. If we can redirect their research from weapons to healing, they could help millions of people across the galaxy. The same species that was raiding our colonies? Yes, but we have learned more about their situation. The Council was deliberately restricting their food supplies, forcing them to raid other species to survive. Now that they have access to proper resources, they want to make amends for their past actions. 5 years after the battle, Ambassador Kyung-Soo stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, the Free Species Alliance's new capital. The massive space station existed in normal space and three-folded dimensions simultaneously, making it both a symbol of human technology and a practical demonstration of cooperative engineering. Below him, representatives from over 200 species worked together on problems that had seemed impossible just a few years ago. Former enemies were now allies. Species that had been oppressed for centuries were now contributing their knowledge to galactic advancement. A soft chime indicated an incoming message. Admiral Ki-Wan Park's image appeared on the communication screen. Ambassador, we have received a transmission from the remaining Council worlds. They are requesting a formal peace treaty. What are their terms? Complete acceptance of Alliance sovereignty over former Council territory, recognition of the Free Species Alliance as the legitimate galactic government, and a formal apology for 2,000 years of oppression. Kyung-Soo smiled. It only took them 5 years to realize they had lost. There is one more thing, Ambassador. They are asking to join the Alliance as member species, not as rulers. It was a development that no one had expected. The species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia were now asking to become equal members in the Alliance they had tried to destroy. Admiral Ki-Wan Park was now aboard the Eternal Watch, one of the newest ships in the human fleet. Unlike the Dark Fleet vessels built for war, this ship was designed for exploration and peaceful contact with new species. But its dimensional engines and reality-warping weapons were still there, hidden but ready. Status report on the galactic situation? He asked his intelligence officer. All quiet, Admiral. No hostile activities detected anywhere in Alliance space. The Council species appear to be genuinely interested in peaceful coexistence, and we have discovered 17 new civilizations in the past year, all of which have requested Alliance membership.